Threats have been on the rise, prompting election offices across the country to ramp up security, as you know, including right here at home. Last night, we showed you the newly finished renovations at Yolo County Election Headquarters to enhance safety measures there. Across California, other offices are adding surveillance cameras inside counting rooms with live streams of ballot counting for public viewing. Election officials prioritizing safety and transparency as well.
And that's something that our Ashley Sharp's been covering in days past. Right now, she's covering the Tom Petty camp. Of course, he is trying to become Stockton's next mayor. Ashley, how are they feeling? I know it's early.
Hey, that's right. It is early. And you just heard from Esteban Fugazi taking the early lead with the early votes to the tune of about 1,500 votes right now. We are live, like you said, with the Tom Petty campaign tonight here in North Stockton. Now, Petty and Fugazi are actually friends, but he tells me, though they both have years of extensive experience serving in local government, he feels results are more important than resume.
There's no legacy during her 8 years. I have a tremendous record from San Joaquin County that I'm going to parlay into Stockton.
Now, back in the March primary, about 3,500 votes separated these two candidates, Petty taking the lead in that race. So there's a lot of momentum and energy tonight here at the watch party, knowing that there are a lot of ballots left to be counted.
All right, speaking of counting ballots, Ashley, thank you. Check in with you throughout the night. Polls are closed. Ballots are now being counted as we speak.
Yep, we're giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the process right now with CBS 13's Hunter Sowers out in the Sacramento County Registrar's office. Watching the count right now, you can see democracy at work. Let's go ahead and bring Hunter in now so she can show us. Hi, Hunter.
Hi there, guys. Yeah, we're at what is going to be a holding center, so it may be a little calm right now, but that's certainly not going to be the case here in about an hour, because this driveway right here is going to be where those ballots are going to be coming in from all of the polling locations across Sacramento County, where they're going to be intaken here, dropped off and verified that they are what they say they are from this booth right here, this table right here, before then taken inside, where you can see a lot of those poll workers are standing by. We're going to get out of their way because they are the ones hard at work. It's these pink boxes right here, though, that I want to key in on. So they're really looking for these color-coded triggers. They know that these are going to be the mail-in ballots, and they're going to be waiting for other ballots as the night goes on. We want to show you, though, what things looked like at around 8 o'clock when those polls closed. Take a look at the scene here from these election officials.
It's kind of pure adrenaline right now. Everybody is still riding the high of our vote centers closing. Some of them, they're still welcoming in voters if they were still in line.
So still in line, obviously, that has been funneled out. Now we're just waiting for the big bulk of those ballots to arrive here at the headquarters for Sacramento County. We can see some of those vans coming in as we speak. Some could be tech support, some could be full ballots. We're going to continue to track this process for you, but hard at work here at the election headquarters. We'll send things back to you.
Yeah, she found the flurry of activity.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Love to see that behind-the-scenes look. All the nation seeing record-breaking voter participation with more than 85 million ballots already cast during early voting.
Well, early voting is historically a predictor of trend. It's not always the full story. Presidential elections are usually determined by a few states, as we've touched on, call those battleground states like previous elections. The road to 270 usually means heavy campaigning in states you see shaded in purple there. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Wisconsin. We'll keep an eye on those states throughout the night.
So let's bring it back in studio for some more analysis. Our Gary Dietrich joining us. All right, Gary, so we're going to ask, where's the presidential race stand now?
Well, I'll tell you, North Carolina now has already been put in Trump's column. Mm-hmm. And all of the rest of the battleground states currently leaning Trump. You have to look at this in a bigger perspective as well. I'm looking at the Senate races in these battleground states also. You're going to find this hard to believe. In all of the so-called blue states, the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the Republican Senate candidate also leading. You look at Florida and Texas, where there's two Republican currently incumbents. People thought they might be in trouble. Not at all. 10-point lead in Texas, 12-13 in Florida. So, guys, I think that right now, we still don't know all the results. this looks like not just a Trump win, but a Republican. I don't want to call it a wave, but certainly a trend right now towards Republicans.
What are you surprised at the most? Perhaps the independent voters going towards Trump, or just the overall feel for how people are voting?
Yeah, well, independents are going to certainly be a key to this, and people are going to be saying that is a big part of it, Tony. But I'm interested in these turnout numbers you guys are talking about. I mean, if Trump was able to turn out what we call low propensity voters, people that typically don't vote, that may be some of the key. And of course, you've heard a lot in recent years, in recent months especially, about blue-collar workers, the folks up there in the Rust Belt trending back towards the old Reagan Democrat days. I think that's going to be part of the story as well.
Yeah, definitely. One that we've definitely been looking at as well. Thank you, Gary. And as we had to break, a live look at the G1C, where we've been throwing up those results through the night. We're going to be checking in with them again and again, so you can see those results scrolling in. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tonight, control of both chambers of Congress at stake. How effective the new president will be largely depends on which party has won. Turning to California's Senate race, the choice is down to Democrat Adam Schiff and Republican Steve Garvey.
Yep, they are both vying for the late Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat, and that's why you saw them appear twice on your ballot, one for the remainder of the term and then for the entire term. So taking a look at those numbers as they come in right now, 45% of the vote in, Adam Schiff pulling ahead with 59.8% so far to 40.2% with Steve Garvey.
And we have reporters, of course, covering both campaigns, so we'll be tracking that for you. A live look at the Golden One Center again. That is where some results are trickling in on the big board. And before we go to break, though, we want to talk to Nick right now because obviously the winds have been picking up a bit out there.
They sure have been.
Yeah, you know, we had a period earlier today of some of those higher gusts, right, from the north that shut down I-80, right, because the tractor-trailer rollover. Right. And those winds are going to kick up more tonight and tomorrow. And soon the wind advisory will be going into effect here across parts of the Sacramento Valley. So we are going to be watching that through the overnight hours into tomorrow because parts of the Sacramento and San Joaquin Valley will see gusts approaching 40 to 50 miles per hour, especially the western portion of the Sacramento Valley. Notice this is 8 o'clock tomorrow, Davis down to Fairfield getting closer to 40 to 50 miles per hour, along with some dry surface fuels that could lead to some fire concerns out there as well. So going to be monitoring that. Fortunately, the rest of the week looking fairly nice, except for Veterans Day, the next chance of some showers across the area. We'll be right back.
This is a CBS Sacramento election update.
Welcome back. 9:26, time for another local election update. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. And we are just now getting the results in for Prop 36. The AP showing that it has passed. Again, this is the tough on crime proposition. So many eyes were on because I know many of you have been watching as crime has increased. We've seen video of those smash and grabs. So this has been one that many have been keeping a very close eye on, one that the governor had spoken against, though. You can see 42% of the vote in, 70.6 for Prop 36.
Let's go to Curtis Mean now, tracking your community results on some of the tighter races. Curtis.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I want to go straight to the Democrat Adam Gray and Republican John Duarte district, which is 13. It covers parts of Stanislaus and San Joaquin counties. Now, this is really interesting because this is a rematch between the two. And in 2022, when these two went up against each other, it flipped this district. 2022, when these two went up against each other, it flipped this district red. John Duarte won back then by 564 votes. And you can see right now, Adam Gray is ahead. Again, only 35% of the expected vote in, but this is leaning blue. Perhaps this district could go back blue. Now to Democrat Josh Harder trying to keep his seat in the 9th district in San Joaquin County. It also covers parts of Stanislaus and Contra Costa. He's up against Kevin Lincoln, who's very well known, the mayor of Stockton and Republican. But Josh Harder right now leaning toward keeping his seat in District 9. All right, let's go to another closely watched race. This is District 3, which covers an interesting sliver of the Sierra all the way to the west of Sacramento. You can see right now incumbent Kevin Kiley has a healthy lead against Jessica Morse. Guys?
All right, Curtis, thank you. Appreciate that. So supporters of Kevin Kiley still out at his watch party tonight. They
sure are. CBS 13's Brady Halp is in Placer County with the latest on that one. Brady.
Yeah, guys, I'm here at the GOP watch party right now where Kevin Kiley is expected to be making a speech here sometime within the 9 o'clock hour. But you have a lot of people enthusiastic about how things are going right now. Many of his supporters have been enthusiastic throughout this evening. And at last check, the county elections office, it shows about a 5-part margin between the two. Kiley up 53, Jessica Morse 46. So you have a lot of enthusiastic people in this room, and many have been. And that is, of course, because the district has historically shown out for Republican candidates. Meanwhile, we did talk to Jessica Morse about 30 minutes ago, and she and her supporters remain enthusiastic about their options for tonight, despite the historical vote. But of course, this is something that we're going to be continuing to monitor, and of course, we'll be able to keep you updated as well.
I think Brady found the loudest party. Appreciate that, Brady. Thank you out in Placer County.
All right, let's bring in political analyst Gary Dietrich now for a quick look at Prop 36 that we just heard has passed.
Well, it's passed, and we knew that from the polls, but
that we just heard has passed.
Well, it's passed, and we knew that from the polls, but I mean, the margin, guys, again, in a California proposition to pass by 75%, that is very, very unusual, especially for anything that was considered to be contentious, but it really, in the end, was not. Voters said, we've had enough of the crime deal, we've had enough of the fentanyl deal. And this is going to be a big defeat for a governor who, as you know, opposed this from the get-go.
I was going to say, not looking too great right now for Governor Newsom. I believe it's down in L.A., but like you said, an overwhelming majority of voters said enough is enough.
Yeah, that's it. And this could be a model for other states, I think.
You bet. Definitely watching that because a lot of people keep their eye on California to see what's next for them.
That's right.
Thank you,
By
Gary.
the way, Sacramento County DA Tin Ho standing by on our streaming coverage to bring you the latest reaction on the Prop 36 passage. Another live update coming up in half an hour. Take care.
From across the country, this is election night, when America decides. With results from your community in Northern California. This is CBS News Sacramento.
So glad to be with you tonight. America facing a critical decision, as you know, as polls are closed, results pour in. The race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will determine the course of the next 4 years. Welcome back on this election night. I'm Marley Ginter.
And I'm Tony Lopez. There you see the early popular vote. We're tracking the results that will shape the future of our country. And what a few months it has been.
It sure has been a whirlwind for sure. While early voting is historically a predictor of trends, it is not always the full picture.
States like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, early voting could be a game changer. So let's look at what the numbers are showing right now. Pennsylvania, obviously very key, as the vice president passed on the Pennsylvania governor to choose Tim Walz, and that may have hurt her. As you take a look at the votes coming in, 88%, the former president leading that state by a couple of percentage points.
That's true. And the former president had said, if we win Pennsylvania, we win it all. We know he said that there. And Michigan as well, another key state. You know, both of them have been in the mitten, as they call Michigan, several times. And you can see right now, the former president taking it right now at 52% with 54% of the vote in, so still a little bit more to
Of course,
go.
Michigan, the state that in 2016, many saying Hillary Clinton ignored in the last few days, and that hurt her campaign, certainly. Taking a look at Arizona, a little more than half of the votes in there. Arizona takes a little bit longer to bring in their votes, and it is neck and neck right there, 49%, 0.9 to 49.2%.
Yeah, and those key battleground states can take a bit longer, especially in Pennsylvania as well. Let's take a look at Nevada right now. Only 2% of the vote, and that shows you those battleground states, how long they can take. This will be quite a few days before we wait for all of those votes to come in.
Another question brimming that will not come down to American voters, but instead party choices. And that's who will succeed Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell. Top contenders have been vying for the position for months. Senator John Cornyn and John Thune are strengthening ties as we move on with Donald Trump and key GOP allies. You take a look at Cornyn there and Thune. Both have been funneling millions into candidates' campaigns, while Senator Rick Scott remains a long shot. With a critical leadership vote set for November 13th, so right around the corner, the outcome remains uncertain, influenced by potential fallout from the presidential election. So if Trump loses, Thune and Cornyn will have to convince GOP senators on their vision for the party's future. McConnell has yet to endorse a successor.
And we were talking about those battleground states. We know that California has always typically swung blue, so we don't look at California as a swing state, but it has been a so-called swing district state, so to speak. So taking a look at the states of the Senate leadership vote right now, because this is where they're trying to flip the balance of power as those come in. If Republicans maintain control of the Senate, the new leader will have a major influence on the legislative process. So if control shifts to the Democrats, has a completely different dynamic, as you can imagine.
Let's bring in our CBS 13 political analyst, Gary Dietrich, and it's looking more and more likely that the Republicans are strengthening their lead.
They are. And right now, it looks like from some of these numbers, if we extrapolate a few more, it looks like Republicans probably will take control of the Senate. And the question now, Tony, is going to be by how much? That is a very critical decision for Republican leadership. If the Republicans are up by 4 or 5 votes in the Senate, then they have some margin, as we say. Some of these more moderate Republican senators, they won't need on some of the key things they're going to be getting through. Trump says he wants to make permanent the tax cuts he had the first time around. He wants to do things, a whole host of other things related to regulations, government reform. I mean, Elon Musk could even be part of that, he says. And then, of course, very important in the U.S. Senate, confirmations. Confirmations of judges. We saw that his last time when he had 3 U.S. Supreme Court justices. That would be absolutely critical.
What do you think the Democrats underestimated? Because clearly they underestimated something.
Well, Tony, I think what we're seeing tonight is beyond just Trump. Right? I mean, that's what we've been talking about. I mean, some of these U.S. Senate candidates who people thought might be in trouble in Florida and Texas, I mean, the Republicans are up by double digits. So there does seem to be a broader wave. I mean, you could start calling it a wave, I think, at this point, of Republican victories. How much of that was Trump-led and how much of it was just the country ready for a different approach? That's what people will be parsing in the next few days and weeks.
Right, so true. And I think it's not just, the proposition's also bringing a lot of voters out, and then that was going to change things as well. So.
Yeah, and in a blue state like California, again, a crime reform measure going up by 3/4 of the vote, a majority of Democrats as well. That's a statement also.
All right, Carrie, thanks for your analysis as always.
Well, let's give you a live look inside our busy newsroom on this election night. We've had sort of an all-hands-on-deck approach with a lot of people bustling around. Many of them, though, I know that you see some empty desks there, but a lot of them are running around.
I think they're still in the corner eating pizza.
They might
as
be.
we sit out here starving.
But
no,
so funny,
kidding.
though, many, though, try to run from the camera, even though we are a newsroom.
Oh,
a
you
lot
think
of people
so?
don't want to. I think they do, but they are running around. Trust me. We've seen them, and we can hear them, too. All right, now to this one, the tougher on crime measure known as Prop 36, as you know, expected to pass.
In fact, the AP has called it as it passing, and we've touched on this for many, many months. I mean, we've shown you the video. There's not a newscast that goes by where we don't see a smash and grab. But again, this doesn't just go after repeated thieves. It also tackles drug dealers. Yes. I mean, fentanyl is huge, and so many young lives have been lost. And again, this is something that our CBS California investigative correspondent Julie Watts has been watching closely. So, Julie, Prop 36, complicated initiative with several pieces. Take us through what each part will do. And we're going to start with Alexandra's Law.
Yeah, and as you said, it has passed. We're already getting the emails and the press releases from folks talking about the passage of Prop 36. One of the main components is something called Alexandra's Law. And that basically would create a requirement that if somebody is convicted of a hard drug-related crime, so not just fentanyl, but something along the lines of, say, cocaine, of heroin, then they'll get a warning from the judge that says, listen, if you sell or even distribute these drugs again, so if you're at a party and you give these drugs to someone and they die, you could be charged with murder, right? The question is, will we see an increase in murder charges related to fentanyl and deaths from hard drugs? That we don't know. Or will we see reduced fentanyl deaths? We don't know. But certainly this will create a new sort of disincentive. And, supporters of this, you guys, they say this will also create an incentive for people. Let's say a friend has done drugs and they are starting to overdose. This will create an incentive for people to save them, because if that person dies, there's a much more severe consequence than if they get that person to a hospital and they survive.
All right, Julie, thank you. We also want to bring in Curtis Ming now. He's been over at our community desk watching all of these numbers come in and honing in really on our specific areas that they have wanted to see how the voters were voting specifically county by county in your community. So do we have Curtis to bring him in?
I am here. All right, guys. Well, we already know that the AP has projected that this one has passed with a very healthy lead. But if we go county by county, we're going to show that everybody was pretty much in agreement when it came to Prop 36. We wanted to start out here in, here are the overall numbers right now, where it is projected to have passed here with 71% of Californians with the early expected votes in, but still such a healthy lead that the AP felt it was okay to have a projected winner in this case. But I wanted to go county by county across our viewing area, because you can see pretty much, if we just keep advancing through each of these, that there was such a healthy lead. That's why this one was projected to win. Keep going through these as fast as we can, guys. You'll show Placer County, which, by the way, is one of the counties where they've been very strict on fentanyl deaths, charging people with murder. Again, right here, you can see there, as well as San Joaquin County. And as we progress through these counties, all of them passing this with a healthy lead of people voting yes. There was one county that didn't have as healthy of a lead. That was Yolo County, but still it passed overwhelmingly. Right now, 63% of folks in Yolo County wanted to pass Prop 36. Guys?
Yeah, if you are searching for one commonality, I think this election night, that would certainly be it, the support to repeal parts of Prop 47. Curtis, thank you. Let's go back to Steve Large now, joining us live in studio.
And alongside him, we have a special guest on this election night, Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho.
Timely, because we're going to be talking about Prop 36 right now. Tin Ho, a big supporter and proponent of Prop 36, campaigning for it. From a practical matter, this thing is now, as breaking news, passed, the AP calling it. What happens with law enforcement arrests now to get even those prosecutions to take place?
I was at a law enforcement chief meeting just the other day, and we're already talking about it. We're already planning it. I've had discussions with the sheriff's department, the police department. The next step is to have discussions with the courts and then also the Department of Health and Human Services from the county so that we can implement this in a way that is compassionate, but also, keep people accountable for retail theft, homelessness, and fentanyl. We saw Julie Watts break down what Prop 36 does here. But the key is, and I think this is an important statistic, that 8%, if we're talking just about the retail theft, 8% clearing of retail crimes. That means that 8% of the time people are arrested. Those numbers, presumably, the idea is that would rise. But how do you make that happen? Well, first of all, one of the great elements about Proposition 36 is if you have somebody that is committing theft again and again, the police, they have to arrest them. They can't cite release them. They're taken into custody. And then we have an opportunity to engage them in the criminal justice system to either hold them accountable or get them the treatment that they need. And then from your particular office, we're talking about law enforcement, they get those cases to you. What are you going to do in the Sacramento County DA's office starting January 1st? So we already have an organized retail theft unit, but I'm going to expand that unit. We have a prosecutor that is dealing with homeless litigation as well. We're going to expand that as well to really get people in the treatment they need, but also hold them accountable for retail theft and for selling fentanyl that are killing our young people as well. So we started a task force to go after those drug dealers. It's interesting, this prop almost didn't even make it onto the ballot. There was a lot of fighting over whether or not it would, with the governor being opposed to it. Then you see it passed by this overwhelming landslide in a blue state. To you, what does that say about Californians, maybe the pendulum swinging to the right? Well, I can tell you that I worked on a coalition with San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, El Grove Mayor Bobby Singh Allen. And this was really a bipartisan approach. It's not about going right or left, it's about moving forward. And I think that the pendulum on public safety is swung back towards the middle. And you look at the recall campaign of even Pamela Price in Alameda, and that's indication of where we are going with public safety. It's about common sense, not politics. All right, so if you look at who is running for president right now, you've got a former prosecutor. You know that this is a political arena you've entered, and there's a lot of questions about where you might be going next. Kamala Harris was Attorney General. Do you have your sights set on higher offices in your future? My sight is focused here in Sacramento. We have plenty of problems to deal with, and I'm dedicated to solving those problems. And one of that is homelessness. And since I sued the city of Sacramento, the homeless crisis in Sacramento has gotten better. All right. Well, we're trying to pin you down on whether or not you're going to be running for future office. Any indication that you would seek public office in another office in the future? I'm focused here in Sacramento. That's what we need to take care of. All right. Can't pin him down on that one. But Marley and Tony, Tin Ho, DA, Sacramento County, a major win for him. Yeah. He's been campaigning for Prop 36, and already at just 9:45, the AP calling it. Loved how you try to just rephrase that question. But could I sneak in one other question? Because I'm curious. We talk about the Proposition 36 impacting fentanyl drug dealers, impacting retail theft. But how do you think, Tin Ho, this will impact homelessness? Well, there's a study out of Stanford that shows that 8 out of 10 individuals that are chronically homeless for more than a year, have mental health and substance abuse issues. And so this particular proposition has a treatment mandated felony in terms of drugs to get people in the treatment they need to get them off the streets. And that's what we want to do, get people off the streets, because it's not humane to let them die in the streets. And we do know that, and there have been some concerns, though, about do we have enough facility beds? Can we actually do that? I know that I was around when we would cover overcrowded prisons as well. And there have been a lot of questions about, will this just bring us back to the 90s when we had all these crowded prisons? What do you have to say to that? This is about mass treatment, not mass incarceration. And when you talk about facilities and the resources that we have, Proposition 1 was recently passed. That was championed by the governor. I had supported as well. And that's really trying to get the treatment beds and the facilities in place. And we have both in-house and also outpatient treatment facilities as well in Sacramento. And it's about treating people and getting them off the streets. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving us your perspective on this night that is going to be pretty pivotal, I think, for the future of California. No question. Thank you. Steve, thank you. And before we break, we're going to leave you with a look at the latest results for other big state propositions as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to our special election coverage tonight. America Decides. We want to send things over now to Curtis Ming, who has been tracking our community results.
And Curtis, specifically, what are you seeing in ways of the congressional results and how local?
Well, we've got an exciting race tonight, the rematch between Adam Gray and incumbent John Duarte for District 13. That covers parts of Stanislaus and San Joaquin counties. So let's put up the numbers right now. This race in 2022 was separated by just 564 votes, and it flipped red toward John Duarte. It is a tight race tonight, and it is leaning blue toward Adam Gray right now. Again, we only have 35% of the expected vote in. It is a tight one. CBS 13 is at both of their camps tonight. Gray is in Atwater, Duarte in Turlock, and we heard from both of them just a short time ago.
You know, these are very close races, and the votes have to be counted. And so we'll wait again if we have to wait again. But we'll see how the night goes.
I'm incredibly grateful. It's been one of the most fun campaigns I've ever worked on. And I'm hopeful tonight that we're going to send a message to Washington that it's time for a change.
So a very tight race there. We're keeping our eye on that. Democrat Josh Harder has a lead when it comes to keeping his seat in the 9th District in San Joaquin County against Stockton Mayor Kevin Lincoln, a Republican. We spoke with Josh Harder just a few minutes ago. In fact, I'm watching a live feed right now. We're talking to him, so we're going to turn that sound around for you just as soon as we can. We want to get to District 3, covering Placer, Nevada, and Plumas counties and parts of El Dorado, Sacramento, and Yuba. This was an ugly race. You saw a lot of attack ads here. Kevin Kiley, though, with 43% of the expected vote in, is keeping his seat. He spoke just a short while ago, was feeling pretty good about things, and we're turning that sound around for you as well. We'll get that to you in just a couple of minutes, guys.
Yeah, this is about the time where a lot of candidates are speaking, so we'll turn that sound around and bring it to our viewers throughout the night. Curtis, thank you.
And before we go to break, let's give you a live look at the Golden One Center, where we have been turning over those results right on the big wall there. And we've also been following some of the major races shaping up, as you can see them coming across right there at the G1C. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is a CBS Sacramento election update.
It sure is. Welcome in. It's 9:56, and here's your local election update. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. The polls have closed for a few hours now, so we are bringing in these breaking results. We just learned that Prop 36 has passed, and really overwhelmingly, if you take a look at these numbers right here, 70.6% voting yes to just about 30% voting no. So this has not been a surprise to many because we've seen the crime ticking up, and we knew that this proposition would drive so many out to get their voices heard.
And we are happy to have with you someone who was instrumental in getting this passed. Sacramento will have Gary standing by with reaction as well. Are you surprised at the large number that this passed?
Not at all. The number is staggering. 70% passage rate, 5.2 million people voted in favor of it. The number is simply staggering, but it sends a message. It sends a message that people care about public safety and that we are at a crossroad when it comes to public safety.
And it shows that the people care, but you know that the businesses have cared too. I mean, businesses themselves had stepped up and signed on to this as well. But there have been some critics out there worried about what this will do as far as our prison system goes, as far as having enough treatment facilities out there, beds to go ahead and go along with Proposition 36.
Well, Proposition 36 is about mass treatment, not mass incarceration. The purpose behind it is to hold people accountable for retail theft. And when it comes to our unhoused crisis, it's to get people the treatment they need. 8 out of 10 people who are suffering, that are homeless, are suffering from mental health and drug addiction. We need to get them off the streets, and we need to give them the treatment they need.
Let's talk about expectations. You said off camera, we're not going to flip a switch and suddenly smash and grabs go away. What should we expect to see as a society as a result of this passing?
It's not a panacea, but what we're going to do now is over the next couple months, work with our law enforcement partners, with the courts, with the county behavioral health, and set up a cohesive plan to how to implement Proposition 36 starting January 1st.
Right. Not going to happen overnight, but certainly something moving in the direction you wanted to see it.
Absolutely.
So on that note, let's bring in CBS 13 political analyst Gary Dietrich now for his take on this, Gary.
Well, I'll tell you what, what's interesting to me about this is going to send a message to people down in the Capitol, okay? Because they passed a bill package. They said, oh, we don't really need Prop 36. And then the governor of legislature said, well, when we do our competing proposition, that didn't come to fruition. District attorneys all over California, business groups, victims' rights groups are the ones that made this happen. And it's really one of the most I think the most incredible examples in recent California history of a grassroots movement got something on the ballot, got it passed, in competition really with our legislature and our governor. So I think that's actually a statement that's going to resonate downtown. And I'm going to be interested to see in the next legislative session if it continues to have ripple effects that Californians are passing a crime reform measure with this kind of margin.
Don't you both, gentlemen, and Marley, you as well, we've been talking about the trickle-down effect in terms of the voter impact of putting something on the ballot like this and bringing people to the polls who normally maybe wouldn't go out and vote.
Yeah, well, this is one that got people's attention. And it's so visceral, right? And we were talking about this off camera. People feel this, right? They go into a store. Things are locked up. Things at the Home Depot are chained. You can't get to them. So I think it was something that people could relate to, easy to understand. They voted.
You bet. You bet we can all relate to it.
Yeah, Gary, thanks for your time as always.
Sacramento County
thanks for
DA.
sticking around for us as well. I appreciate that.
And that's going to do it for us for this election cut-in.
We'll see you soon. Take care.
From across the country, this is Election Night, when America decides. With results from your community in Northern California. This is CBS News Sacramento.
It sure is, and welcome into our streaming coverage tonight. America's future becoming more in focus as polls close and results are tallied between Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. We're tracking the race that will decide the country's direction for the next 4 years. Thanks so much for staying with us here on the special streaming edition of our newscast here at 10 p.m. A lot to get to on this big election night. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. Yes, you know it, a lot at stake for our country tonight. We're joined by Steve Large and our political analyst, Gary Dietrich, in studio.
Before we check in with them, let's first see how the Electoral College is weighing in right now, because that is, of course, the ever so important number. Popular vote, that matters too, but not so much as the race for 270. So again, the last time we checked in, the former president was winning that. Now the numbers have increased. You need 270 to get to the White House, and the former president is pretty darn close. 246 to Kamala Harris's 194. The polls closed here at 8 p.m. in California, so a couple of hours ago. We have our eyes on all things politics tonight, from the national scale to the local scale.
We sure do. And these were the numbers that we have been watching, as 80% of the vote is in the popular vote, and the former president ahead there, 51.2% to 47.2% to Kamala Harris.
Polls officially closed in California, but at the U.S. Capitol, numbers are coming in from Senate races that could determine the balance of power. That is another big key, because obviously the race for the White House is ever so important. But how much power is the president going to have?
Right. And that has been a close look as we've been watching some key district races. We know that California has typically been blue, so it's not called a swing state, of course. But we have those swing districts, and that's where we've been keeping an eye on, just to see exactly where that will go as far as the balance of power and which districts will flip.
Yeah, so let's turn to our team now. We have a full house on this election night.
So joining us in studio once again, we have Steve Large with us and our political analyst, Gary Dietrich, for us as well. And then across the region in Sacramento, we've had Madison Keevee and Tori Apodaca tracking the mayoral race.
In Stockton, Ashley Sharp and Esteban Reynoso covering the tight mayoral race there as well.
And at CBS 13, Julie Watts has been focusing on Proposition 36, while Gary Dietrich has been providing some in-studio analysis for us as well.
You want more names? We got them for you. Curtis Ming is going to lay out how our local communities are voting in real time tonight. So, Curtis, break down county by county numbers in the race for congressional seats.
Well, we are going to start with District 3 because Kevin Kiley has a healthy lead to keep his seat against Democrat Jessica Morse, representing Placer, Nevada, and Plumas counties and parts of El Dorado, Sacramento, and Yuba. You see right now, with 43% of the expected votes in, Kiley has 54% of the vote. Jessica Morse has 46%. Kiley tweeted within the past hour, it appears he has been reelected, although CBS has not projected a winner in this race just yet. We heard from Kevin Kiley a short time ago.
Well, we have our first initial results, and I'm happy to report that we have won re-election by a decisive margin.
All right, with Democrat Josh Harder has a lead right now in District 9 to keep his seat. This represents San Joaquin County and parts of Stanislaus and Contra Costa. He's up against Kevin Lincoln, a well-known Republican, because he's the current mayor of Stockton. And here's what Josh Harder said within the past few minutes about his early lead.
I think I've really been blown away by all the votes that we've seen so far. We know there's a lot left to count, but I think it's really humbling to see this vote of confidence from voters across Stockton and San Joaquin County.
But a very tight race. This is a rematch in District 13 between Adam Gray and John Duarte. John Duarte flipped this district red by just about 564 votes in 2022. But you can see with 35% of the votes in, Adam Gray has a lead. So will this district flip blue once again? We are closely watching this. We have our crews at both camps, and we will keep you updated as the information comes in.
All right, Curtis, thank you. Sacramento's going to have a new mayor, our first new mayor since 1996. We have newcomer epidemiologist Dr. Flo Kofer going up against political
heavyweight.
Heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it when you finish my sentence, because by this time, the words don't come out easily. We have Kevin McCarty, state assembly member and former council member as well. Let's take a look at that race and how it's shaping up.
We're going to go to reporter Madison Keevy, though. We have been watching those numbers, and I'm sure Madison there, people have been watching the numbers very closely as well.
Marley, those numbers are beamed up on a screen here, as well as some of those national election results that are coming in on multiple TVs. There is some cautious optimism here. Kevin McCarty says that until all the votes are counted, it's not over. You know that phrase, it's not over till it's over. And he knows that this will not be decided officially tonight, that it may take a few days, and he says he's ready for that. But if we're using here a sports metaphor, he said this is the first quarter, and it's nice to have a lead. Though we did ask him what his first day in office, if he's elected, would look like.
I'm zeroed in, locked in on the future of Sacramento. I want to work with our city council, with our board of supervisors, with our delegation from the congressional side and the assembly side, and tackling our problems, because we're all in this together.
He was behind in the polls. So we talk about the vote count, some city council members, as well as some other elected officials within the county here in Sacramento, stopping by this watch party tonight to take photos with him and kind of talk to him on election night. The next drop coming here in just a few minutes, and we're expected to hear from him again, you know, kind of an update on those results. And of course, as he said, it'll be a few days before we know who the winner of this Sacramento mayoral race is.
Yeah, whether it's McCarty or Cofer, they're going to have a lot on their plate, no doubt. Madison, thank you. Speaking of his opponent, Dr. Flo Cofer, she spent the day rallying her supporters.
She sure did. And Tori Apodaca has been at that camp with Dr. Cofer as she has been watching those numbers come in as well. Tori?
How Dr. Flo Cofer says she is feeling after she entered the house here at Tipsy Put at her watch party. You can see behind us the crowds, as well as the DJ playing its loud music, just really bringing everyone together and celebrating all of the hard work that went into this campaign. We heard from Dr. Flo Cofer just a few minutes ago about this campaign, and she really just wanted to thank everybody in this room who were really boots on the ground during this entire campaign, knocking on over 10,000 doors just this weekend, over 70,000 doors amongst this entire campaign trail. So it has been a lot of hard work all coming together for this moment tonight. Take a listen to what she had to say. Dr. Cofer, early results coming in. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling really optimistic. Again, we saw what happened in the primary. I say it all the time, my people vote late, so it is honestly too early to tell. We're expecting a really big turnout because this is a presidential election.
Dr. Cofer says today has been a lot of nervous excitement, and even though those early poll results are starting to come in, she does anticipate that we won't have a clear winner, at least for another week or maybe even two. And that's why tonight is all about celebrating the hard work, continuing to keep an eye on those polls, but looking forward to what's to come. And then she says if she wins, it's all about getting straight to work.
Yeah, no doubt they will definitely both have a lot of work, whoever takes that seat. Steve Large joining us now in studio. You had a chance to speak with Mayor Steinberg. I guess we will soon be calling him former Mayor Steinberg, but he was already saying that he had supported McCarty in this one.
He had endorsed him. He had also contributed to Kevin McCarty's campaign. And this was and is a real and kind of that classic campaign of experience versus new blood. And we had the opportunity to talk to Mayor Darrell Steinberg live in studio in the 8 o'clock hour, just as those first numbers were coming in. He has been such a constant here in politics in Sacramento. He chose not to run for a third term, and he has had a really tumultuous 8 years as Sacramento mayor. I had the opportunity to ask him while he was here in studio about how it felt tonight in this election setting, if he feels a little bit of the weight being lifted off of his shoulders as he has just 6 weeks left to serve. Here's how he answered.
It's a little bit of a relief, to be honest with you. You know, you asked me what I did on election day today. I was in my office working, and it is a bit of a relief. Look, I've been so proud to serve as mayor these last 8 years, but they have been tumultuous years. I mean, a pandemic, what I call the rightful racial reckoning after the killing of George Floyd, the housing crisis, homelessness. But you know what? I think the city is in good shape in so many ways. So I'm proud.
All right, we made sure to ask him what he has planned next. And of course, we were not able to get him to spill the beans. But a lot of people are questioning whether or not he has an interest in running for Attorney General. He said he has one more campaign left in him. There's always a possibility of a judgeship, which he's shown interest in as well. And, it's not looking like it may be a Kamala Harris victory tonight as we sit here at this moment, but there was also talk about him possibly serving in an administration to that extent as well.
And one of the things that he admittedly said handcuffed him that will also handcuff either Cofer or McCarty, the fact that there's no strong mayor in the city of Sacramento, and you're going in and having to rely on a lot of different people to get your agenda put out there.
That's right. As Sacramento residents know very well, the strong mayor idea has been floated, has been voted on. It has not passed overwhelmingly. So the mayor really is one of 9 votes.
Right.
You can campaign, say that you're pledging to do things, but ultimately, you got to put that in front of a 9-person board and get consensus.
Yeah. All right. Steve, thank you.
And we also have our eyes on 2 other local mayoral races. First to West Sacramento now. The incumbent Mayor Martha Guerrero is up against her opponent, Vice Mayor Dante Early. And you could see as those numbers came in right now, 100% of the vote in on this one. And Martha Guerrero keeping her seat.
And the race for Elk Grove mayor, or tracking that as well. 3 candidates vying for the city's top seat. Current mayor of Elk Grove, Bobby Singh Allen, going up against small business owner Brian Pastor and retired nurse Lynn Wheat. The incumbent winning easily right here with 31% of the votes in Elk Grove. Take a look at Stockton's race for mayor now.
Yeah, we've been keeping a close eye on that one. Your reporter Ashley Sharp is with candidate Tom Patty, who is going up against Christina Fugazi. Let's start with Ashley.
Hey guys, yeah, you can bet we're keeping a close eye on those early returns here in Stockton tonight. The latest dump of votes at the top of the hour showing Fugazi pulling ahead by about 1,700 votes. But the night is still young, of course. We are here live with the Tom Patty campaign in North Stockton. Now, Patty and Fugazi are friends, but he tells me, though, they both have years of extensive experience serving in local government, he feels results are more important than resume.
There's no legacy during her 8 years. I have a tremendous record from San Joaquin County that I'm going to parlay into Stockton.
Now there's momentum and energy at Patty's campaign party tonight, knowing, of course, that there are a lot of ballots left to be counted in Stockton.
All right. Ashley, thank you. Yeah.
The other side, of course, is Christina Fugazi. We have that covered for you as well. Your reporter covering Sacramento County, Esteban Reynoso, live. Fugazi's been in the lead. She's got to be feeling pretty good right now, Esteban.
Hey there, Tony O'Marley. Yeah, that's exactly right. After those early votes were counted, and that showed Fugazi having a slight lead over Tom Patty, just about 1,400 votes right now, with just those early votes that have been counted. Of course, as soon as those results came out, this place erupted. It was a really good feeling, at least for Fugazi. She says that she is friends with Patty, that they both have served the city of Stockton, the community of Stockton, as well as the surrounding neighborhoods here, and they plan to do that. They plan to continue to do it, whoever wins this race. Of course, here at the Fugazi headquarters, they're hoping that it continues to stay the Fugazi way for the most part as those votes continue to be counted here. Now, Fugazi says that her main focus is homelessness. It's also economical and environmental balance, as well as addressing a lot of the issues that are impacting a lot of the voters here in Stockton. Since she's been campaigning here at the headquarters, there's been the DA that has came by, as well as the Stockton diver Juan Heredia, who has stopped by and made some appearances here. So this party continues a little bit as the Fugazi campaigns continues to remain hopeful here, guys.
All right, good to see you. We definitely hear the excitement there. Esteban, thank you for that live report. Well, since 2020, election-related threats have been on the rise, prompting election offices across the country to ramp up security, including right here at home. In fact, last night, we showed you the newly finished renovations at Yolo County election headquarters to enhance safety measures there. And across California, other offices are adding surveillance cameras inside those counting rooms with live streams of ballot counting for public viewing. Election officials are prioritizing safety and transparency in this year's process.
The hub of Sacramento County elections is buzzing right now as ballots arrive to be counted.
So we're giving you a behind-the-scenes look at that process. We want to check back in with CBS 13's Hunter Soward at Sac County election headquarters with how things are looking now out there. Hunter.
Yeah, guys, it's a meticulous process. As we know, I've been showing you as those ballot boxes have been arriving here at this driveway. They're then, of course, put right here on this table and verified, checking to make sure that all of them are what they say they are. And then it begins the process of moving in. Those pink are going to be those mail-in ballots. And, of course, they are counting first. But I just spoke to some volunteers here who, for the last 4 days, have been up in Rancho Marietta at one of those polling locations and vote centers that delivered their boxes here to, of course, the headquarters and the hub of where all of those ballots are going to be counted from across the county. And they just told me it's been an exhausting 4 days, but they are so proud to be a part of this process because, of course, we know that each and every one of those volunteers that comes back and brings those ballots here to be counted is really doing so much to make the civic process worth it. Take a listen to what they had to say about their experience.
So tell me, I mean, this is exciting. Y'all are getting to be part of democracy in action. How's it feel?
That's true, except for the fact I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning to get to work at 6 to go, and it's a long day.
What's the process
but
been
it's
like?
Fun.
Is it fun? What do you do?
Fun and crazy, because we had a lot of people coming in. The good news is we're up at, I just went blank.
Rancho Marietta.
And we had an awful lot of young kids voting for the first time. We must have had it, 20? Between
25
wow. About. And we always clapped every time we had them, so it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and crazy.
So you drop off the ballots and now you're done for the day?
We're done after 4 days.
So again, a long, hard process here. 42% of voter turnout is what we're expecting. 32% of those votes have been tabulated. All of those volunteers, though, from 88 vote centers have to bring their ballots back here before that these guys can move on to the next process. So they say they're going to be up here late, making sure that all of those voting centers get the information here that they need. So again, we can watch this process move forward.
All right, it's good to see that process as well, Hunter. Thank you for showing us the flurry of activity on the hyper-local level. Now let's widen out our vision and talk about the United States and where we sit here tonight. CBS is projecting that the Republicans are taking control of the Senate.
Yep, and that is something that we've been talking about all night long as far as the balance of power goes. We want to bring our political analyst, Gary Dietrich, back in with us now to talk about that, Gary, because it's been something so important. So this is big, what we're hearing.
Oh, it's huge. And not only have Republicans now gotten the majority, I mean, officially they've got the 51, but they're beyond that. I mean, if you look in the big blue states, the ones that we're tracking, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the Republican Senate candidate in all of those is now leading. So, guys, this could be a much bigger majority than people even supposed. And not only that, but Republicans have not lost any of the seats that people thought might be threatened for them. Double-digit wins in Florida and in Texas. You have to say, this is just a big night for Republicans.
How much does this change the presidency, saying that former President Trump goes on to victory tonight, having that Republican tidal wave of support?
Yeah, well, it's huge, Tony, because remember, in the Senate, I mean, unlike the House where they're sort of kind of whipsy, senators kind of acted a bit more independently. So having an extra couple of seat majority to move a legislative agenda is absolutely critical in the U.S. Senate. I mean, Trump's got to be really breathing a sigh of relief himself tonight. He didn't want to be facing a Democrat Senate coming back into the White House.
And let's talk about that, too, because, you know, we've been watching the numbers come in. Of course, obviously keeping a very close eye on those electoral votes as they come in. But we still do have some more states that we're keeping a close eye on. So talk about the direction that things are moving in right now.
Well, you know, you can pretty much piggyback it on those Senate results because I just checked, guys, before we went back in here. Every single one of the 7 battleground states now has either been called for Trump, like Georgia or North Carolina, or is leaning his direction. Every one. So some of them by still small margins. We're going to have to wait and see if that comes to pass. But there, right now, he could sweep every one of the battleground states.
How big of a deal was it for the vice president not to go with a Shapiro from Pennsylvania, a state she desperately needed, going with Walz? They had Minnesota. They didn't need Minnesota in terms of swaying the vote.
That has been one of the critiques. We're going to hear a lot about critiques. You can bet your life on that in the next few weeks. But, Tony, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, many people say, could have brought that state home and freed up a bunch of Democratic Party resources to be put in other states. That's going to be certainly one of the postmortems.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been talking about as well is, you talk about that October surprise, so to speak, but really there have been so many surprises along the way. I mean, we can name all of them. Attempted assassination.
It's been a 2024 surprise. That's what it's been.
Right.
We're not surprised by any surprises. I mean, right?
That's exactly right.
Throw that
Tony.
word out of our lexicon because it's not
Exactly.
happening. All right, Gary, as always, thank you. We'll be checking with you throughout the evening here as the presidential race has not officially been called. So, of course, we're going to stay with you live right here on the stream as we take a live look at some of the races. Here's one that is not a big surprise. Adam Schiff expected to win over Steve Garvey, and 59.7% for Schiff to Garvey's 40.3%.
All right. And we do have some of our partners over at KCAL in Southern California following this race as well. So we want to toss it out there.
You're right, a very unsurprising result here in Los Angeles. Adam Schiff appears handily beating Steve Garvey to take the seat long held by Senator Dianne Feinstein. It is giving them something at least to celebrate here at the JW Marriott in downtown Los Angeles. I know you can hear they are pumping the music, but I have to tell you, this is a very sparsely attended party at this point, and almost a palpable sense of anxiety here. But the bright spot, of course, when Schiff gave his announcement speech just about an hour ago, a very optimistic tone, acknowledging California has troubles, but saying none are insurmountable, saying from day one he will fight for all to have a safe place to live, clean water, good hospitals, and the best schools. That being said, Schiff says he will be a champion for all, regardless of whether they voted for him or not. We are live in downtown Los Angeles. I'll send it back to you guys.
Lloyd Perez, thank you so much. Well, I've had more people at a family reunion, but obviously they're still having fun.
They
right?
sure are. They sure are. Not a surprise win in that one because many were projecting that would be where we would see it. We're going to leave you right now, but we want to show you the big board out there at the G1C. This is where we have been not lighting the beam, but a beam, so to speak, beaming out all of those results as they come in. We'll be right back.
This is a CBS Sacramento election update.
1026. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. We want to send things over to Curtis Ming, tracking our community results for our congressional districts as they come in. Curtis?
Yeah, guys, I want to start with the tightest race we are watching right now. This is District 13, a rematch between Democrat Adam Gray and Republican John Duarte. In 2022, it was one of the closest races in the country between these two, and Duarte flipped the seat red, winning by 564 votes. You could see it is a tight one yet again. Adam Gray is ahead by just about 1,000 votes. We heard from both of them a short time ago. We're going to start with incumbent John Duarte, who right now is trailing.
It's going to be a close race. We're going to expect it to be a close race through that night. It's going to look a lot like last time. And so we'll give it a couple weeks, I hope, not more than that. And we'll see how this thing finishes in the count.
The
incredibly grateful. It's been one of the most fun campaigns I've ever worked on, and I'm hopeful tonight that we're going to send a message to Washington that it's time for a change.
It's a close one. Democrat Josh Harder has a lead right now to keep his seat in District 9, representing San Joaquin County. He's up against Stockton Mayor and Republican Kevin Lincoln. We just spoke with both of them.
Regardless of what happens tomorrow, I'm thankful. And it's been an honor to serve this city.
I think I've really been blown away by all the votes that we've seen so far. We know there's a lot left to count, but I think it's really humbling to see this vote of confidence from voters across Stockton and San Joaquin County.
Josh Harder has the lead right now, and Kevin Kiley also has a healthy lead to keep his seat in the 3rd Congressional District. He tweeted within the past hour, it appears he has been reelected. CBS has yet to call this race. Guys.
All right. Truly appreciate looking at those numbers so closely there. Curtis, thank you. And tonight, CBS News projects U.S. Rep. Adam Schiff defeating challenger Steve Garvey in the race for U.S. Senate.
Ballots now being counted all over the country.
CBS 13's Hunter Sowers is out in the Sacramento County Registrar's office watching the count there right now. Hunter?
A lull kind of in the action right now, but we have been watching as those voting centers have been bringing their ballots here to make sure that all of the information on them is correct, being checked by this table before it's then moved inside to really go through the next step of this process. At this point, we know that 32.5% around there have been tabulated here in Sacramento County. So, of course, we're watching those numbers as they come in as well. But this is all really kind of the hub of all the action for Sacramento County. 88 voting centers are going to be dropping off their information, all their ballots here to this location to then be counted. And of course, we know that each step in this process is another piece of the puzzle that then really paints the bigger picture that they're going to be able to give more election result updates throughout the evening. We've been getting them, of course, 10:15 and then again at midnight. We've got people coming in now to watch, of course, this process, and we're going to be watching this as it unfolds for the next several hours here, but still very early on in the evening as those votes are still being counted here.
Yeah, hats off to all those hardworking folks, that's for sure, because it's been a long day, will continue to be a long night. Hunter, thank you. So as we leave you tonight, the headlines here, in terms of a statewide level, Prop 36 passes overwhelmingly. From a national level, Marley, Republicans taking control of the U.S. Senate. And right now, as we sit here, former President Trump in the lead. Yeah, certainly it's been a big night for Republicans as far as what we're seeing right now, but we will continue to keep an eye on it. We'll see you soon. Back to network coverage. We'll see you soon.
From across the country, this is Election Night, when America decides. With results from your community in Northern California. This is CBS News Sacramento.
And we appreciate you being here with us on this very important night. Tonight, America facing that critical decision. Polls now closed, results pouring in. The race between Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump determining the next 4 years. And with 81% of the vote in, this is the popular vote, 51.2% going to the former president right now.
Welcome back as we stream for you on this election night. I'm Tony Lopez.
And while early voting is historically a predictor of trends, not always the full story, as you know, in states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, early voting could be a game changer. So let's take a look at what the numbers are showing, though, right now as this night continues on. You can see in Pennsylvania, that very critical battleground state with 94% of the vote in. We have heard the former president say if he takes Pennsylvania, he takes it all. And right there showing 50.9% going to Donald Trump.
Yeah, Pennsylvania state where the vice president was camped out for days. And take a look at Michigan now, another key state right there. 69% of the votes in. Former president winning 52.1% to 46.1%. for Kamala Harris.
I do remember when I lived in Michigan, that was what it looked like when we suddenly saw it flip towards Hillary Clinton in 2016 as well in the mitten. And there you see in Arizona, the vote 50% going to the former president. Nevada, 51.1% to the former president as well. So those key battleground states, those are the ones where we have seen them constantly throughout this entire last few months. And the other one, a big one right here in our state, Prop 36. It has passed.
Yeah, the Crime and Punishment Initiative, also known as you take a look at the numbers, overwhelmingly winning 70.5% with the votes in. Lots of money poured into this campaign. CBS 13, CBS California investigative correspondent Julie Watts has been closely following Prop 36.
Yeah, guys, you know, these numbers are really interesting. Remember, Prop 36 rolls back some of the reform policies from Prop 47, which voters passed back in 2014. That passed at 59.6%. Right now, we are at 70%. That is very significant. Interestingly, the governor, Democratic state leadership, nearly all California newspaper editorial boards, they all oppose this Prop 36. Yet it still passed overwhelmingly. And now we're starting to look at how candidates who publicly supported or publicly opposed Prop 36 may have been impacted politically by that decision. Now, obviously, the governor fought hard to keep Prop 36 off this year's ballot, and there was fear among some Democratic leaders that the crime-related initiative would bring out more conservative voters. We are certainly seeing some conservative-leaning votes, at least so far. It appears that way. And they were concerned there would be a ripple effect down the ballot. Now, notably, all of the Democrats in California's competitive congressional districts, those districts that could flip the House, they publicly supported Prop 36, so they sided with their Republican opponents. But people like Attorney General Rob Bonta, who's expected to run for governor, and of course VP Kamala Harris, they both refused to say how they voted on Prop 36. Notably, they're tight with the governor. So it is going to be interesting to see how those people who oppose 36 fared on election night. For instance, two races that are of note, two progressive district attorneys, Alameda County's Pamela Price and LA's George Gascon, they both were opposed to Prop 36. Both are now facing recalls. And tonight, right now, early returns indicate those recalls may be successful. So we are really seeing a ripple effect from this tough on crime ballot measure. Guys, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Really has been, Julie. Thank you. As we dig deeper into the night, the results starting to take shape.
They really are. And whether it's on the national stage or locally, that political landscape will change. For now, though, we want to change. We're going to go ahead and toss to break right now. As you can see, we have the big wall up at the G1C with those numbers trickling in as we show them up there. It has been showing. We will be right back.